Okay, so have you always wanted to pursue the field you were interested in since you were younger, or did you make a change in some point throughout college or even after? And if so, why?
Wow, great question. I always loved both dance and psychology. It was interesting, even as a child, I thought the two were kind of one. Like when I was moving, dancing, I had been a competitive gymnast as well. I looked always at the mind-body connection, how when my mental state was a certain way, my physical state could match it or join it or be with it. I never saw them as separate. So that carried into my love of physiology and studying movement from that kind of more science perspective. And that even started my senior year in high school. And I was getting involved in things like exercise physiology and things like that, all the while still dancing and trying to see how did these go together. Then in college, I kept studying psychology and dance. So I just kept taking in as many courses in both areas. And then out of college, I got a faculty position actually at University of Michigan in kinesiology and exercise physiology. That's where I was teaching about kind of the mind-body connection and, you know, body alignment and exercise and well-being that way. And then I got more and more interested in the emotional side of people and how that also is all one. So our emotional state affecting our physical state, affecting our mental state. And then I heard of a program back at UCLA that bridged psychology and movement and body awareness. And it was a very special graduate program. And you got a degree in both dance, psychology, movement therapy. It was just the coolest. And I thought, I'm going back to California and going to grad school. It was a very long training process. We had to do 2-3 years of coursework, and then we had courses in the psych division as well as in the kinesiology and dance departments. So it was all those worlds in grad school. Then I went and got licensed in that and did a 2-year internship. You have to do 2,000 clinical hours. It's crazy. And then you get licensed and all that. And that's kind of how it just came to be for me, you know?
It all like got to like this crazy like dance and like it's like those two things. It's like you wouldn't really see them together, but like they match perfectly.
Yeah, it was really unexpected at the same time, but it was always just this eagerness to understand how they all connected and came together. Yeah,
that's great. Okay, so how were you able to juggle both dancing and being a mental health therapist at the same time while you were doing those both careers?
It's such you're really bringing me back to things here. So I was training with someone in a big company called Alvin Ailey. They're kind of an internationally known company. And I was training with one of their principals, and his name was Ron Brown. So during that whole time, I was taking constant dance classes from him. And then I was working in the hospital and the clinic and trying to balance it all, actually. My dancing experience was generally 2 to 3 hours a day, and that would fall after I was working in the hospital. In the daytime, I was limited in how much performance I could do. My commitment in performance had to kind of, wane, as they say, and kind of dwindle because of, my time and energy in the hospital setting. Yeah. And then when I became what they call a clinical supervisor, so I was overseeing the other therapists and a big caseload, 50 patients and what was going on for them. I was on 24/7 at that time.
So
yeah,
like
we used to have pagers.
Okay.
Yeah, on call, literally pagers. So I would go to any party or gathering or outside event, and if I got paged because there was a crisis going on, I was called back, and I was the one that had to make a decision and different things like that. So that took its toll. I could only handle that about 2 years because it pulled on my life in so many ways. I was fully committed to the hospital situation when that happened. Yeah.
Okay. So
did that answer that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Let's see. What do you think? What do you think? Okay, so this is like your advice that you'd give to my class. It's, what do you think is something important that the seniors in my class and every senior out there should know for someone who's struggling to find their calling?
Oh. Okay. This sounds interesting. Let the calling come to you. Stay like an antenna, receiving. I believe we all come in with a really divine purpose, every one of us. That's why we're here. It's our birthright. And it's kind of weird, but I always see what is genius in someone is absolutely natural to them. And they need to just shake out all those shoulds and keep going with their heart, and what their heart is really leading them to. And to keep finding that, because I gotta say, dance found me, psychology found me, and I couldn't waver away from that even if I wanted to. And the more I did, if I ever did, the more stress I felt, because I wasn't in my true passion.
Yeah.
That's
really good. That's a good answer. Okay. Is there anything that you regret while looking back at everything you've done so far? No, I do not have any regrets.
I really gotta say that if I called something a regret, I would never be feeling the growth. It's like if my focus was on a regret, I would never see what that had provided me for my growth. There's always challenges, not regrets in my mind. It's like I've had challenges, I've had roads I took and I went, all right, well, maybe I need to kind of go this way again. But I'm always called back, I feel, if I stop and listen. Again, the antenna, I have to listen. So is it a regret, or is it an opportunity to say, all right, that was a challenge, that, and now I'm more of this because of it, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the last question.
Sure.
What gives you the most motivation to get up and do what you do every morning?
You guys. The joy of being with other people. People really, I think at their core, want to give back. I think even when I was working in the settings where people were at their worst, there's always a spark, I believe, somewhere. And I love journeying with another person to say, what's your spark? Let's help each other find that spark, you know? And that to me is motivation. You know what? It's love. That's the spark. There's love. And if I focus on fun in the journey, I love getting out of bed every day. That's true freedom, I think, to not forget. There's always something that's going to teach us, grow us. It's a journey. There's never really a destination. It's a journey. Yeah.
That's really good.